And we are live. Chatelet Brothers. I'm Fuzzy Dunlop Skates. You're watching Bridge Burners TV. And this is the Morning Red Pill, episode 4. Today we're going to talk about eliminating variables, TV, and shit talkers, of which there are a plenty. Of both, I mean, variables and shit talkers. So I'm going to get right into it. I'm going to start this off with a story. So as you may or may not know, I used to, and still do, but not so much, print t-shirts out of my apartment. And I have a printing press that I built with my dad. We got the design on Pinterest. It's for 4 different colors. Anyway, it's a really nice machine. I'll show it in a later video. So naturally, this is one of my past failed business ventures that I foolishly marketed around the needs or the perceived needs of my friends, thinking that if I made enough cool stuff, made enough cool t-shirts, showed it to enough of the right people, that I would be able to sell at least one of something to most of the people that I knew. It's not asking that much, right? Anyway, wouldn't you buy like one t-shirt to support like a friend if he made it, especially if it was cool? So anyway, this is how it happened. So I got a lot of ideas and suggestions from people about t-shirts that I should make, for everybody or just for them. And a lot of them were stupid. A lot of them were really stupid. But some of them that kind of overlapped with the ones that I wanted to make, I made. Because I was happy to get ideas and, I'm happy to toss out samples. Kind of like what Darren did when he started tattooing. He had to do some tattoos for free. So, I would try to get people to pay for materials. But anyway, I digress. So my printing press is made out of wood. It's a wooden table, and it's got a Lazy Susan on top, which is basically a stand that spins around. And it's got 4 sets of clamps for 4 different screens for 4 different colors of the same t-shirt. It's pretty cool. And I used to make all my own screens before that I would print on. And what I would do, I would take 4 pieces of wood, usually dowels or something, the cheapest wood I could find. I would cut it, I would staple it together, and then I would go to like thrift stores and shit, and I would buy silk curtains or some sort of porous curtain, and I would methodically staple the curtain to the screen and then tape over it, and then I would have my silk screen. Now, you can buy these pre-made. The first one I ever bought was pre-made. I paid about $60 for it, and it was a piece of shit. It was the size of a small picture frame, and I held it onto a table with 4 soup cans. Not even 4 soup cans. There were varying cans of varying weights. And I spread the ink with like an old credit card that wasn't in use anymore. Hey, Forestero MGTOW's here. Hey man, how's it going, bud? So that's how I made my first t-shirts. And then I started making my own screens, with the cheap wood and the curtains, and I would staple them together and duct tape it. And yes, you can buy these. You can buy aluminum ones that are pre-made, but they're around $100 each. And man, you can't do anything to them either. Like if they get a rip, like it's pretty much finished. It's just a pain. So I like making my own. It was quick. It was fast. It did the job. Anytime an idea popped into my head, I could make a screen relatively easily. So, I was pretty happy with my setup. And then when I got my actual printing press, my spinning printing press, I was golden. So naturally, a couple of friends would come over, once in a while, and they'd check out my setup, or I was really proud of my setup, so I'd want to show it to them. And oh shit, sorry man, Forestero MGTOW's got a fucking back pain, work issues. Sorry to hear that, man. Get well soon. So when people would come over and check out my work setup, and look, I'm gonna make another video about it because me talking doesn't do it justice. But my printing press is beautiful. It's really nice. I say this, I did not make it. My dad made it, but he followed plans on Pinterest and he made it pretty much exactly to spec. It's perfect. But the first thing people say when they see it, they don't say, "Oh, cool," or "Did you make that?" or something. They say, they shake their head and their jaw drops and they say, "Oh, it must be so hard doing it without a real machine." And I look at them like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" And they say, "Yeah, well, maybe one day, you'll get a real one." And I say, "What do you mean a real one?" And they say, "Well, I don't even know what they look like, but a $20,000 one." That seems to be the magical figure that people pull out of the air. And they won't say $20,000; they say 20 grand, 20 grand, 20 grand. This, I discovered this a while ago actually, and I'm gonna go off on a little tangent here, but it's relevant. 10 years ago, I took the auto body repair course because I wanted to learn how to fix cars and shit. But not necessarily the mechanics. I wanted to learn how to fix rust and how to remake panels and how to paint and polish and do all that shit, metalwork and welding. So a friend at the time had already taken the welding course, and I didn't know anything about it. I just knew that you could fuse metals together. So I was asking him a lot of stuff about it, and he had his fun with me, like, and I don't mean in a fun way, but he didn't fucking tell me anything. And he held all his knowledge close to his chest. And I kept asking him, like, how do you do it? Like, what's the deal with welding type of thing? I know it's a really broad question, but, I was a noob and I was really excited. So anyway, just fucking humor me. So he kept on saying, "Oh, well, I'm okay at it, but like, it's really expensive." And I said, "Oh yeah, like how expensive?" And he says, "Well, he says, if you want a welder at your house," he said, "minimum 20 grand. And I said, "What do you mean? It's that expensive?" He says, "Yeah." He says, "It's at least 20 grand for a welder." And then he says, "And then you need a giant fucking workshop, and you need special ventilation that has to be certified. And you need a garage door in the front and a garage door in the back." And I thought, shit, man, that seems like a lot of work. That doesn't like seem right. And look, man, it turns out, like, man, you can buy all sorts of welders. You can make a welder with 3 car batteries and jumper cables. Like, if you really want to, it's gonna do a rough job, but you can make one. Now, this isn't free because each car battery is like $100, but for around $500, like, you can get a great welder for home use. It won't be extremely powerful, but I paid a little over $1,000 for mine right after I took my course and finished talking to this dipshit. So I shouldn't have fucking listened to him. And no, I shouldn't have listened to him. I didn't listen to him, and it's a good thing I didn't, because if I did, I would have thought that welding is too expensive a hobby to get into. And no, you don't really need a work area. Like, if you don't have a work area in your house, like, work outside. There's a lot of fumes and shit anyway, and there's gases and stuff. Like, you should be working outside. And yeah, on the days where it's pouring rain or a blizzard, like, then yeah, don't weld in the fucking pouring rain. Or you can build yourself a carport. But chances are, if you're buying one of these tools or machines as a hobby, you're not going to be forced to do it 40 hours a week. Fuck. So yeah, I got my welder. I've had it for 10 years. I'm still using it today. And we laid the floor down on our cabin yesterday, and we brought the lumber back there. We got some more snow. And today, among the things that we have to do, the task is included that we have to figure out a way to build a wood stove, a small wood stove from scraps of metal that we have lying around the barn and stuff. So that's going to be very interesting. And Forrester on MGTOW asks, "Are you taking breakfast?" Not at the moment, actually. Not at the moment. I'm drinking a coffee right now, and I've been having, I won't say trouble sleeping, but I have very odd sleep patterns right now. And I pretty much go to sleep when I'm tired, and then I wake up when I feel like it. But lately, I've been getting up very, very, very early, or not really sleeping that well. I'll pass out at some time in the evening usually, and then I'll wake up a little bit later, usually around midnight, and then I'm up until I get tired again. And then I'll go walk the dog and do a workout and work a little bit on the cabin because it's been snowing all week. And today it's not even the end of November, and today it is minus 17 degrees Celsius. I wouldn't call it insomnia though. Yeah, so it's minus 17 degrees Celsius here, which is around 10 degrees Fahrenheit. It's unseasonably cold for November. So it kind of sucks because it fucking handicaps you from doing a lot. And even though I'm not that affected, people around me are affected. So therefore, business, kind of suffers. So the tree trimming and cutting business has been slow this week. We have a couple of jobs on back burner, but nothing crazy. I have another job. It's a pretty big job and fucking scary that I really did not want to do. I still don't want to do it. And the guy called me back and he said, basically whenever I want, I can go do it. But I don't really want to go do it because I'm only about 50-50 as to whether I can get it done or not. And I might have a fucking accident and I might drop an entire fucking giant tree onto a garage if it goes wrong. It's this giant tree that basically broke in half, and half of it is leaning over a garage. And the half that's leaning over the garage is really high up and it's really thick. So it's going to have to be cut down, like not just once, but a bunch of times. And each piece is going to have to be tied. So, because if I just made one cut and tied one piece, it would be way too heavy. It's thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds. So, it's going to have to be cut up several times. And that's, it's safer in the sense that if you aim small, you miss small. But at the same time, you're aiming often, so there's a chance for you to miss often. But what I wanted to talk about, with my screen printing machine, whenever people would see it, they'd ask, "Oh, how long until you can get a real one?" And then I say, "What's a real one?" And they say, "Oh, I don't know, but one that costs 20 grand, like 20 grand, the magical number." So what are these shit talkers? And it's. Now, in retrospect, I see them as just fucking fools. But at the time, these are the only people I knew. These are supposed to be my friends. So you kind of want to give them the benefit of the doubt and listen to them almost. But really, like, they did not have my fucking interests at heart. I don't say my best interests, but they don't have any of my interests at heart. And the mistake is mine because I should not have been friends with them. I just didn't know. I didn't know that they possessed such weak moral fiber. So another guy, hey, vanadium pentoxide, Shadowley, brother. I think we're pretty good. How's it going, man? Just talking about some t-shirt stories. Okay. So this one guy, he was a friend for a while and he wanted to get into the t-shirt business with me. And he had been, selling t-shirts supposedly for 10 years at Foot Locker, but he hadn't been selling t-shirts. He'd been selling shoes. It's completely fucking different. And yeah, they do have t-shirts there, but no, it's not the same. Like working at Foot Locker is not the same as like starting and trying to market and do all the production in your own clothing company. It's not the same as working at Foot Locker. So, but I thought, okay, I'll give him a chance. I could use him. And by this time, I had made a year's worth of t-shirts and I had probably around 100 different designs. And I had 100 pictures on my website of different t-shirts that I had all taken at the exact same angle. And I had a mannequin with 2 arms on it. And for every t-shirt, I had to take the arms off the mannequin, put the new shirt on, put the arms back on. I had to put the mannequin in the exact same place, which I marked on the floor with a piece of tape. And the camera was on the tripod, also marked with a piece of tape in case it got knocked out of place. So every single picture looked the same, okay? So, and I had a website and everything like that too. I mean, I still have it, but I closed it down because thanks to the skate park rapist debacle fucking a year or two ago, I can't even remember. A whole bunch of people used to go to my store all the time. And even though they would never buy anything, they would just flag all my different products. And I would get notifications from the store administration telling me I had to remove t-shirts that I made. Like I made a, man, like, yeah. I'll make a video of that too because it's pretty funny. Well, I think it's funny anyway. So anyway, yeah, so this guy, he sees, I show him, he says, you know what you need? He says, you need a website. I said, well, I have a website. And he says, no, but you need a real website. And he says, you need a real printing press. And I said, well, I already have a real printing press and I have a real website. And he says, no, I mean a real one. I said, okay, well, define real. And he says, well, like Wix.com. I saw an ad for it and that's real. It says so. I said, okay, you're a fucking idiot, man. Like, okay. And then he says, like, for me, he said, I made my own Wix website the other day and it doesn't work, but it's better than yours. I'm like, well, okay, but like, yo, dude, like, why don't you just do what the fuck you want, man? No hard feelings. And he says, no, because I'm trying to help you. You know, don't forget, I sold t-shirts for 10 years at Foot Locker, all to help you, Greg. You know, that's why I do everything, just to help you. So I said, okay, so what are you saying? And he says, well, he says, you got to fucking take down your website. And he says, you have to do another one like mine. And I said, but you just made yours yesterday and it doesn't fucking have anything on it. It has no pictures. It has no buttons. You don't even have the domain name. I said, I have my website for a year. I have all my products on it. And there are clickable links to pay with PayPal, credit card, even debit. So why should I take down my website? Like, because you say so. And he says, well, I'm just saying, you know, I sold t-shirts for 10 years. Yeah, and he wants to help me, right? So no, I did not take down my website. Like I said, I just took it, quote unquote, offline. It's just a button that you press just so people would stop flagging it until I figure out what I'm going to do with it. But I never made a penny off it, by the way. I never sold a single item. I didn't market myself like well, I guess, but anyway, that's a subject for another day. So his point, and I said, well, you know, I have a website. And then he says, wow, he says, it's so sad because he says, you know, you really can't succeed unless you work for the government. And I thought, like, what the fuck is wrong with you, man? Is that what you get out of this discussion? And he says, my dad works for the government and he has everything. And that's the best, you know? And he said, if I got a government job and or if we got government jobs, that would be amazing. And then, you know, we could have girlfriends and then, you know, only we could work and they could stay home and it'd be like in the 50s. And yeah, this guy sounds like a trad con. I'm telling you, he's not. Fuck, he's a trad status. He's a French Canadian separatist, and his whole MO. There's a lot of guys like this, whether they're French Canadian or not. They look like trad cons or they look like conservatives on the outside, but they're not. They're union simps and they're statists. They're huge fucking statists. They just want things. They just want more shit. You know, like they hate foreigners and they're against immigration and like all that stuff, you know, kind of conservative beliefs, but it's not for the right reasons. You know, they want less affirmative action for others because they want more affirmative action for themselves. And their ultimate dream is to have a job where everything is taken care of, healthcare, social benefits, everything, a pension. And you don't even have to think about your work. All you have to do is show up and breathe all day. And just by virtue of your own existence, you know, you're always going to get more and more. And that's the way to do it. And you know what? Like, I'd say I don't blame them because we're kind of brought up to believe that this is true. But you got to be a fucking idiot if you keep believing this or if you keep striving to believe it. And my beef isn't with the people that believe this. My beef is with the people that try so hard to shove this down my fucking throat. I can't fucking stand it. You know? And someone watches you like working on something and you're legitimately making progress in front of them, or you have already made progress in front of them. and they just shake their head and they say, wow, it's so sad. You just can't succeed. It's like, yo, dude, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like the guy I was talking about the other day with the skateboard business, like if we'd be skateboarding, I could try a trick and like land like fucking 4 of them in a row, and then I'll miss one. And the guy is going to fucking skate by and he's going to say, wow, it's really sad getting old. And, you know, good thing you're not pro, because it doesn't matter if you don't land it. And he's like, do you ever think what it would be like if you had actually tried? And I'm like, yo, man, what the fuck are you talking about? It's like, man, like, it must suck to be you. Like, how do you think like that? Okay, first of all, like, I think any kid that does anything that he likes is going to do it to the best of his ability. You know, if you play soccer when you're a kid because you want to play soccer, like, in your head, like, you're the best fucking soccer player in the world, or you're trying to be. Unless you're doing it because, like, your parents are forcing you to do it, like piano lessons or something. But no, my parents did not force me into skateboarding. Skateboarding, it just grabbed my attention. So I wanted to do it. And like almost everyone else that skateboards, you know, I had dreams of becoming fucking professional if I could. It's not a question of like not wanting to. So, you know, I don't want to be pro, so I'm not going to try. No, man, of course, I'm always going to try. And, you know, this guy sees you land 3 tricks, you know, one after another, and then you miss one. And then he says, oh, you know, getting old sucks. It's like, what the fuck, man? Like, when I was a kid, I wasn't doing fucking 3 for 3 unless it was easy shit. Like, yo, dude, shut the fuck up. So, you know, they just want to hold you down, fuck, for no reason. And these are your friends, too. These aren't strangers. Strangers are usually cool. You know, you guys started off as strangers, fuck. And I just put my ideas out, you know, on the internet. And like-minded individuals responded to my channel. And I tried to push it on to all the people I knew. And I was like, yo, dude, all the shit that we talk about or that I talk about, I upload it to YouTube. Check it out. Yo, like, no one's fucking checked it out, man. They're too busy fucking caught up in their own bullshit with their heads so far up their asses, taking pictures of themselves doing jack shit, and complaining that people aren't giving them more and more. So the same guy that sold t-shirts for 10 years, you know, he really didn't like my website, and he got mad that I didn't make another website, you know, to appease him. And he also got mad that I had fucking like 100 different designs. And, you know, I like having 100 different designs because even though you have your favorites at the onset, you never know which ones are going to work and which ones won't and how people are going to react. That's a cool thing. And that's why I wanted to do every step of the business. I wanted to design the shirts myself, even though I can't fucking draw. And I wanted to produce them myself, and I wanted to sell them myself. And, you know, you think that you're going to enjoy one part the most. Like, I thought I would enjoy like getting the money the most, you know, when I hand someone a t-shirt and I get the money and it's cool. But like the part I enjoy the most actually is painting it onto the fucking screen. And that takes fucking forever. And like I said, I can't fucking draw, but I like it. It's cool. If I had to have tried to do every aspect of it, I never would have discovered that. I just would have been like my dipshit friend working at Foot Locker for 10 years, waiting for something better to fucking come along. And this is the guy I mentioned in the earlier video. Yeah, happy Thanksgiving, guys, by the way. So this is the guy I mentioned in the earlier video who relies purely on his looks to get women. And it's to the point where women have left notes in the windshield wiper of his car that was parked on the street because they saw him walking his dog the night before. And the note says, oh, I saw you walking your dog. You're just so good looking, but I was too shy to talk to you. Here's my number. Call me. And then he calls him and they have sex. And like, this guy is a fucking baby, man, because he has no fucking game. And even at Foot Locker, people used to call the store. Girls used to call the store saying that they saw the most good-looking employee, the most handsome employee. And a lot of the time he'd be the one answering, or the person would say, oh yeah, that's like so-and-so, and then give him the phone. And then he'd fucking nail them, you know, doing no work. And he thinks that life is like this for everybody. And he thinks life should be like this. And, in the past when I've told him like stories about fucking dating and shit like that, or jobs or whatever, he always gets really mad because his whole philosophy is that like you just sit on your ass and shit gets handed to you, by virtue of circumstances of birth. And like, dude, it's not like that. And also, like, anything that someone is willing to hand to you is a very low value. Otherwise, they make you fucking work for it. And, the whole thing is, like, I bring this up because this explains everything. Because when this guy looks at my setup, like, that's what he sees. He sees work. And then he sees his own inadequacy. And then he realizes that, like, he has to do it himself. You have to pour the ink yourself. You have to spread it yourself. Then you have to wash your screen yourself. And then you have to call the customer yourself and fucking make the exchange. And that's all too much work for him. Like, as far as he's concerned, that's for idiots. But it's not that it's for idiots. It's that he's too fucking weak to be able to fucking do it himself. So he resorts to fucking criticism in the hope of keeping me down in order to bring himself up. That's how people level the playing field. And people actually do fear competition. And we weren't even in competition. Like, he was supposed to be, quote unquote, helping me, remember? So very fucking strange. So yeah, he didn't like the fact that I had hundreds of, or 100 designs or so. So he vehemently suggested that I scrap everything and make just one design. And I said, well, look, man, I don't have to scrap everything. I said, if you think that you have a design in mind, I can make it for you and we can see how it goes. And he says, no. He says, one, just one. That's how the big companies do it. Like Nike, like this. It's like, yo, dude, this isn't Nike, okay? And this isn't fucking Foot Locker, so shut the fuck up with that shit. And he says, no. Well, he reminded me again that he sold t-shirts for 10 years, all in the goal of helping me in the future. So that's how fucking woke this guy is. So, and his whole thing is that, it was all cool that I made offensive clothes, but he didn't want it to be too offensive. He wanted to tell people that, like, he was affiliated with a fucking offensive clothing company, but he didn't want to be tagged in anything that was too bad. Like skate park rapist or something like that, But he liked the idea of a t-shirt that said just trigger warning. And, like, I don't think that's very funny. I think it's very fucking tame. I think it's, like, not original at all. But at the same time, people may buy into it. So I said, okay, cool. I'll make 10 t-shirts for you of the design that you want. Let's say trigger warning. And, you can sell them as you will. Then when you sell them, we'll split the profits. And that was 2 years ago, and he hasn't sold a single fucking shirt. And he told me that he didn't sell one because, quote unquote, you just can't start your own t-shirt company. It's too hard. Even with his vast wealth of knowledge at my disposal. And in case you guys didn't know, he sold t-shirts at Foot Locker for 10 years. I don't think I mentioned that yet, but it's true. So, we should have had every advantage. So he went home and he started brainstorming, about ways that I should, remake my company after removing my website and burning all the previous t-shirts I made. So this fucking guy, he goes, he says, no, you can't print them yourself. He says, it's cheaper if you get them printed at a store. I said, no, it's not. And I said, anyway, I like printing them. So he goes to the store to, like, prove me wrong. Because I already checked, but he doesn't know this because he's a fucking idiot. So it's like, yes, I checked all this stuff. So he goes to the store right near his house. Hey, good morning, Tara Marine. And, they charge him fucking $35 a t-shirt. And, dudes, for me, I order t-shirts for $1 to $5 each in bulk. I order them online. $1 for the shitty quality ones that I don't like. And I pay, let's say, up to $5 for, like, a nice cotton polyester blend that's very soft. And it's cool because if you do something that makes you sweat, the t-shirt dries really fast. They keep their shape in the washing machine. There's no tag to itching back. So yeah, like, I've thought about all this stuff. I've made my trials and stuff like that. And Also where I put my logos, I don't put them in the places that I don't like. I don't make pocket logo t-shirts because, I don't really like that. I don't make t-shirts with a chest pocket because I don't really like that. I make the fucking kind that I like to wear. And a lot of the time I'll put the logo at the bottom off to the side, and I'll cut part of it off for the bottom of the shirt. Like, cause that's fucking that's what I like, man. So that's what I do. So he comes up and he says, no, no, no. He says, look, yeah, burn your machine, burn all your designs. He says, you have to come up with a new logo. I don't know what it's going to be, but it has to be a be all end all logo, and it has to be perfect. And you have to put it on the pocket of a t-shirt. And he says, look, I bought this ribbon, and I bought these safety pins, and I bought these iron-on transfers. And he says, this is a professional way to do it now. He says, not your way. This is the best way. And he says, your shirts have to have a tag. I said, why do they have to have a tag? I said, I pay extra to buy shirts with no tag so they don't itch. And my shirts also, you can print your own logo on the inside of the fucking collar if you want. And he's like, no, 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 this is a professional way, right? I sold t-shirts for 10 years at Foot Locker, so you better listen to me. I said, okay, what do you have? So his whole idea was to print a tiny, tiny, tiny logo on the computer, like 100 times, on this iron-on transfer material, and then to cut out each logo, and then to iron it onto the tiny fucking wrapping ribbon, and then to make little rings with the ribbon, and then safety pin each ring to the shirt. And I said, okay, you're going to do all this? It's a lot of work. And he's like, well, like whatever, you can't start a business, but, I'll try because, without my help, you're going to fail. So he tried at his house. Okay. He tried, he printed, I had to print it out for him because he doesn't know how to use a printer because he's such a fucking knob, 35 years old, by the way. So I had to print it for him, and I printed him all the iron-on transfers. And I said, okay, take these home with your ribbons and your scissors and everything, and like show me what you come up with like in a week or whatever. So he tried to stick one. He tried to stick one of the iron-on transfers onto the ribbon, and it wouldn't stick. And he gave up after one try. One try, he gave up. That was it. Final conclusion, you can't start a business. It's too hard. You have to work for the government. That was his final conclusion. And it fucking gets better because, fuck, man, he even told me something else, like to add even more fucking insult to injury. But oh, yeah. Okay. So my first website, there's a magazine. I don't read it anymore. It's called Thrasher. It's a skate magazine. It's fucking gay now. And, but I collected them for years. And it used to be cool before it went all SJW. There was one article in Thrasher. Readers were able to send in their letters. And, one kid wrote a letter to Thrasher magazine years ago. And he was like 14 or whatever. And he says, Dear Thrasher, I just started skateboarding. I love your magazine, but my parents don't like it. And the other day, my dad found a lighter in my pocket, and he took my skateboard away. And he said, I'm not allowed to skateboard anymore. And if I don't get straight A's, then, he's going to ship me off to boarding school. And I love skateboarding so much. I just don't know what to do. And like, this big fucking letter, about a troubled kid. And man, I went through exactly the same shit. I think almost everybody that skateboards like has a story like that. And it's like, Dear Thrasher, what should I do? And Thrasher writes back, fuck your dad. And that's it. And when I read that, it's like, fucking right. I was already 30 years old when I read that article, but like, yeah, that's what I would have needed to hear at that age. And it's funny because it was a backlash, about 2 years later to that article. And some SJW like threatened to tell all their friends like to not buy Thrasher if Thrasher didn't apologize. So Thrasher apologized, but yeah. So, okay. So each Thrasher comes with a centerfold, and I had, put all the centerfolds up on my wall. If you watch my early MGTOW videos at the computer, you can see all the Thrasher posters behind me on the wall. And in almost every video, And this was the same wall I used as a backdrop in my website, but I got the couch out of the way. So I moved the couch out of the way, and I would clean the carpet and everything so you couldn't see it. And I had like a little kind of stand that I put my mannequin on. And, I had like a skate clothing company, I guess, politically incorrect skate clothing company. And, behind it, there were 4 years of fucking Thrasher centerfolds on the wall, which I thought was pretty fucking cool. So this fucking asshole, like, obviously he doesn't fucking get that, right? So, and also, again, I can't stress, every picture was taken from the exact same angle. Like, it looks professional. And so he says there has to be some way to make the background white. And I said, you can make the background white. I said, the easiest way is to take the picture against a white background. And he says, okay. He says, scrap all your pictures now and make one with white background. I said, look, man, again, even if I were to reshoot it with a white background, there's no reason for me to scrap all my fucking work, man. Stop fucking telling me to throw all my work away. Jesus fucking Christ, man. Like, if you knew how much time I fucking spent on this, like, you wouldn't be saying that. Like, Jesus fuck, man. And it's good. Like, it's not garbage either. So that's the other thing, someone keeps telling you to throw your work away. Like, you start thinking like it's shit, but no, this is just a fucking idiot who's fucking stamping his feet because the reward isn't in his hand right away, because he needs instant gratification for everything, even things that have taken absolutely no input on his part. So, he says about the white background. I said, well, yeah, just film it on a white background. And he says, no, there has to be a better way, an easier way. And I said, well, you can film it on a green screen and you can put whatever background you want. You can use white Bristol board and he says, no, there has to be a program that you take the picture of the shirt on anything and then you just fucking cancel the background. And I said, okay, like, yeah, there are programs that do that. But I said, look, man, even in those programs, you have to fucking identify. Take it easy for us, Darrow. Have a good day, bro. So I said, even in those programs where you can cancel the background out, you have to identify the background and separate it from the original image. And it's some work, Like, dude, just put it on a white backdrop and fucking forget about it. Or a green backdrop or a blue backdrop and use it as a fucking green screen. You can even fucking do it against a green wall. But man, I said, there's no reason for me to redo my pictures. Fuck, it's fine, And he says, no. He says, don't forget, I sold t-shirts for 10 years. I know what I'm talking about. So I said, okay, fine, whatever. Go home and try and see what you can do and come back at the end of the week. So at the end of the week, he tried. And, I go to his house and he's all pissed off. And I said, what's up your ass, man? And he says, it sucks. He says, you just can't start a business. You have to work for the government. I said, okay, what happened this time? So he says, oh, I found a program, but, the free trial won't let me do what I want to do. And I have to pay $9.99, but I don't want to pay it. So, it just sucks because everything's a scam and you can't start a business. And I'm like, dude, like, you won't pay $9.99 for a fucking drawing program. Like, and you want to get rich off of business. This is the only investment, like, you've had to do so far. And it flabbergasts you, that you might have to spend a tiny, tiny, tiny bit of money to make money. And I told him too, I said, and just making money, it's not a guarantee. It's a possibility. So it's a risk. And he says, yeah, the only thing with no risk is a government job. Like, this guy, there's no getting through to this guy. So because he didn't want to fucking, pay for the program. Yeah, it's exactly like that, Terry Marini. Sounds like a waiter with no cooking experience trying to tell the chef how to do chef stuff. Because the stupid bimbo bitch fucking asks him for something ridiculous. And then he goes and he just fucking broken telephones it to the back like he knows what the fuck he's talking about. So he found another program where you kind of black out the background on your own. And he tried to do it himself, but he couldn't do it. And you know how many times he tried? He tried once. And I looked at his computer. He has a laptop, and the laptop has no mouse. And then I thought, okay, well, this guy wouldn't spend $9.99 on like a fucking art program, so he didn't go out and buy a mouse this week, that's for sure. So I asked him, I said, did you try to use the trackpad on your laptop as like a fucking drawing stylus? And he's like, yeah. He's like, I'm not going to spend money. And he's like, anyways, like you can't do it either way. He's like, do those stylus things even work, or is it a scam? I'm like, I have one. It works fine. He's like, oh, okay, so it's a scam. So anyway, I don't talk to this guy anymore. You know, how could I? Like, it just fucking saps my strength. And the only thing that I would get out of hanging out with him, you know, if you can fucking guess, is, you know, he keeps telling me that you can't start a business and that you have to work for the government. And even though I know he's wrong, he's just telling me this. It just reaffirms that that's all he believes. And not only that, every time he tells me this, he's basically telling me how stupid he thinks I am. And it's just fucking annoying. Yeah, so fuck you, Julian. That's one of the reasons we don't fucking hang out. And okay. So I called this video Eliminating Variables. And, you know, all these things that people tell you to do, all this business advice, again, especially if you're a new business, almost everything that people are going to tell you that don't have any experience, it's going to require either spending money or adding variables. And this is not the goal, okay? Especially if you're struggling. I'll give you an example. It's like if I drive up to a job in my pickup truck and I have one chainsaw, and someone says, how's business? And I say, it's okay. And they say, well, if you'd want it to go from okay to great, you should buy a second bigger chainsaw and a second bigger pickup truck and hire another guy. And then buy like a wood chipper and then buy a crane. And I'm not even fucking kidding, man. I've heard all this shit like out of nowhere. And no, don't do any of that stuff. That's the last thing that you need. You know, upgrade as the need to upgrade presents itself. No, if you want, because that's another thing too. As your business grows, should you choose to go down the route of higher volumes, it will require you to modify or upgrade or grow some of your equipment. You know, go up to the next engine size, so to speak, if you want to start doing the bigger jobs. But again, you know, usually the bigger jobs either come with a slightly higher operating cost, or, you know, they're going to take you more time, you know, with your setup that's fine-tuned to do the small to medium-sized job that you're used to doing. So, like, you know, I've pretty much built my business to do small to medium-sized jobs. I can do the big jobs with a shitload of wood to take away and everything like that, but I'm just not fucking equipped to do it. It's really a pain in the ass. And I blow all my profits on fucking transport because I have a pretty big trailer. I can take away a couple of cords of wood. I fit 2.5 maple trees in my trailer before, and each tree was around 40 feet tall. So we turned the trees into wood chips and logs, and fucking loaded that shit in the trailer, and we drove home. And, you know, it's almost around 5,000 pounds worth of wood. And, you know, I have a small wood chipper. It takes 3-inch branches. So 3 inches is still pretty wide. It's not an 8-inch chipper like the city has, but that costs like fucking $70,000, and you need a second vehicle to pull it. Mine is perfect, man. It's like a lawnmower. I fucking wheel it into and out of my trailer. My trailer has a nice fucking mellow ramp that you can walk up and down. And then when I drive, I strap it into the trailer. And then when I get to the job site, I wheel it around wherever I'm going to use it. And a lot of the time I can chip the branches on the customer's property and just shove it into a hedge or bush or something like that. Or leave the mulch even like around the tree on the grass. That's cool. And if there's no room to do that, and I just chip it into my fucking trailer and I put the logs on top. And it's fine, man. It works fine. And I can do all this with one person. And with two people, it's even better. But when people see me unloading my tools and everything, you know, again, they talk shit, especially the ones that don't know anything. They say, oh, you know, wow, you know, it sucks starting out. You should get some better equipment. Oh, how much for a real one? It's like, how much for a real, yo, it's like, dude, man, or define a real one. Like, let me see yours. Where's yours? And the whole point is, you know, when you start anything, even when you've been going for a while, like minimalism is key. And the minimum amount of tools to do the job, I always find is the best way. And if you can do the job with no tools and you can do it more efficiently than you would do it with even one tool, then do it with no tools. Like, let's say I have to climb a tree and the tree's not very tall and, you know, it's very simple. Like, there's no reason for me to bring a ladder up to the tree, to put my spikes on, to put a safety line, to put a second safety line, and then a third flip line, and then to have someone pulling me up from behind. There's no reason to do all that, especially when I can just like cut it down from the bottom with one cut. You know, simple is best. And then if somebody sees you doing something efficiently by yourself and they come up to you and they say, oh, you know, why don't you get a crane or why don't you get a bulldozer? Like, really what they're saying is that they could never, ever, ever do what you're doing right now because the notion of having to fucking drag their ass anywhere is just too much for them to fucking fathom. So they go straight to criticism. They go straight to criticism and they basically put you into a situation from which they're pretty sure that you can't escape. Like, they'll back you into a corner and they're going to say, you, along with everybody else that has not spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on equipment, is a loser in my eyes and in the eyes of society. There, what do you got? You know, defend yourself. And it's like, well, I can't, you know, because, you know, I don't have that fucking kind of money. And if I did, you know, if I had $500,000, I wouldn't be fucking buying bulldozers with it. That's for fucking sure, man. I like the way I work. I mean, minimalistic. It's great, man. I would like, honestly, to be able to show up to jobs in like a fucking hatchback if I had one, you know, with just my little climbing chainsaw and my backpack and my harness. That's what I would like. I would like to be able to just show up, put my shit on, climb the tree, like stack it and go home. But it's actually a big production, and cleaning shit up, especially like on the customer's property, like it can be quite involved. So I always bring the minimum amount of tools, but you know, that can be quite a bit. You know, you need a fucking carry space, either the bed of a pickup truck, but mine isn't big enough. It's already got a toolbox in it. And, you know, you need some rakes and you need some shovels and you need a wheelbarrow usually. A ladder you can get away without. But anyway, all this stuff takes up space. So it's fun to fucking organize yourself for every job and take what you need and leave behind what you don't. And sometimes you left behind something that you could have used or that you needed even, but you always find a way to do it without it. And that's what minimalism teaches, you know? And the people that are dependent on equipment suck at what they do. And really, they're just making excuses. So Taryn Marine says, I thought about your truck thing and someone else brought up an RV. I've heard of a contractor using that to live and drive from job to job. He did computer stuff for hospitals. Yeah, that's cool, man. I'd be down with that. It's a little, not the RV, but like shell camping and where people live in, you know, they'll convert like a delivery van into kind of like a live-in van. Like, that's cool also. It's a bit kind of extreme for my liking, but man, if I could find an RV for cheap, one that drove, you know, not a trailer, like that would be something to consider. Because like I mentioned before, you know, I'd like a vehicle that I could store my tools in and shit like that. And, you know, that would be fucking cool, man. It would do the job. But honestly, what I would like to live completely off grid and to have my property paid for, and just to go, I still have my ad up there, and when people when people need fucking trees cut, just like now, they call me up, and then when I line the jobs up, I go do it, and then I go back home to my cabin after, and nobody knows I'm there, and I don't have any expenses. That's what I like. That's what I would like. And right now, I'm renting a place, temporarily, but there's a big property in back, and I'm building like a test cabin, if you will, and I have a lot of freedom here, but at the same time, I don't think it's going to be a permanent arrangement. Uh, as much as I wanted it to be one, I don't think it's going to be, because I have a feeling that if history is any indication, I have a feeling that the person that I'm renting from right now is going to prove to be just like everybody else I know. And, when it's time to either profit together and possibly help me, or fuck me over and see me squirm and reject my money and reject my plan, I have a feeling he's going to choose to do the latter. But that's just because that's what's happened every single time in the past. So, I would like this to be a permanent setup, but I'm not hopeful of it. Therefore, we're already planning alternatives. So the best thing we can do in the meantime is to just keep pushing forward, keep grinding, and we have a couple, as our main business has slowed down, we have a couple of alternate revenue sources, like our firewood business, that we're going to start kicking into effect here. So today, again, it's minus 17 Celsius. That's around 10 degrees Fahrenheit. It is 5:55 in the morning, and it's still pretty much pitch black outside here. I have a fire going in the wood stove, and that's our task today. We finished laying the floor in our outdoor cabin, and we have to figure out a way to put together a makeshift wood stove without spending any money, or spending the minimum amount of money as possible on it. So a lot of the parts are very basic, but they stupidly fucking cost a lot. Even the pipe, even the chimney pipe, it's like $70. Like, are you kidding me? Fuck. I'm sure I could find a fucking pipe somewhere. But yeah, anyway, so that's the fucking conundrum for the day. But there's a scrapyard not too far away from here. And other than that, since we moved into this place, it's semi-finished. So there's a lot of fucking shit lying around everywhere that it's really tough to move. But it's got to be taken out in order for us to properly get settled in. So as oh yeah, those are cool. Terran Marine says, if Solar Cabin's channel is still up, he made a pretty nice little 2-story one. It was 12 by 12 or 14 by 14. Yeah, that's sweet. We like what we started to do. We started to clear out an area in the woods that was very close to the house that had tons of storm damaged trees in it, and like dead shit on the ground or shit that was broken at halfway. And it's basically, as soon as you walk into the woods behind our house, there's this damaged area. So it needed the clearing the most, because even if we had gone further into the woods, shit falls down in that place like all the fucking time. So we had to get it out of the way. And with the pieces that were long enough, we just lined them up all next to each other, and we cut them as long as we could so they'd be the same length. And we were expecting to have 10 by 10, but they're not even 10 feet. It's going to be it's probably going to be 8 feet by 8 feet. This first one that we're making, it's going to be fucking tiny, but it's cool, man. So far so good. And I'm looking forward to getting some footage of it, actually. And today we're going to go out there and we're going to light a fire nearby in the woods somewhere, keep us warm. and I'm going to try to make a little video about it. So I'm going to upload that probably this weekend because I'm going to be going live at 5 tomorrow. And on that note, I think this is something I'm going to keep doing. I'm going to take the weekend off from the 5 a.m. streams, but I definitely want to keep going live. And I like the daily morning show, and I like the guys who've been stopping by. And I want to keep it going, and I want to build it into something bigger than it is. So I'd like to have other people on, or people chatting, or people calling in. I'm not sure, but probably both. And if that would interest any of you guys, just say so in the comments. But I'm sure I already know the answer to that. And even if you wouldn't want to participate, I'm sure you'd be down to watch. So therefore still participate. But Gravy Baked Gill is here. Hey, what's up, man? Right at the end again. I'm still here. I'm just taking care of something that required me to distance myself from the microphone. So I'm going to end it here. Sorry, Gravy Baked Gill. It's not because you showed up that I'm ending the stream. I plan to keep it at an hour. So that's where we are right now. And I'm about to go start my day. And as I'm, winter is rapidly approaching. It's unseasonably cold this time of year for late November. And, it's kind of, it was kind of a little shitstorm. So there's a little shift in priorities now. I have to clear some snow off of some of my equipment outside, and I have to store a few things today, and I have to keep fucking cleaning my apartment so I can actually get properly settled in and start increasing my income and reducing my monthly expense. So that's the plan. My plan originally was, although I'm paying rent now, my plan originally was to mine the property to the point where I'd be selling enough firewood from this property to equivocate the amount of rent that I'm paying. And then when I could tell the guy, look, I've been giving you this much to live in the basement. Well, now I'm going to give you the same amount from firewood. I don't need to live in the basement anymore. Like, sell me a little spot in the backyard at the edge of the property and let me do my fucking thing. So that's what I wanted to do. But as time goes by, I'm presented with more and more restrictions. And these are one-way restrictions that don't seem to apply to other people, but only apply to me. And I'll get into it in a later video. I'm not being melodramatic. It's actually the way it is. It kind of fucking sucks, but it doesn't matter. Such is life, and I adapt. So, the trick is to being able to work with either outcome, not just being happy with either outcome. Because what does happy mean? It's being able to actually fucking capitalize on either outcome. So, hoping it comes out the way that I want. But if our stay at this new place is nothing more than temporary, and it doesn't turn out to be the be all end all final solution that we wanted, and that's not a big deal either. We're just going to go somewhere else, and we're going to learn what we can while we're here and bring that to the next place. So thanks for stopping by, guys. I have to end the stream now. I'm about to go walk my dog and start my day. And yeah, I like doing these live streams. I like seeing all the familiar faces around. And I hope you guys all have a great fucking day. Take care. Stay away from shit talkers. Don't fucking listen to anyone. And eliminate as many variables as you need to eliminate in order to succeed. I'm Fuzzy Dunlop Skates, and you're watching Bridge Burners TV. This is the Morning Red Pill. Shadowley Brothers.